A lot of people in our world are dying of constipation, intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, because all we do is try to receive, and we're not built that way. We're built to share it. And so when you experience a little bit of success, you will find incredible energy, and just there will be an overwhelming sense of pride, more so when you give it away, when you share it with someone else.
It's good to recognize that the success that you have can be attributed to other sources. It's good to let those people know and let them know you appreciate them, and you're giving them that respect for being people in your life that made an impact on you. And I know I think about that almost daily, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm a product of a very privileged life, a blessed life. You gonna get going with this?
What we got here tonight? Here, I've got one for you.
Okay.
I don't know who said it. Never let success get to your head. Never let failure get to your heart.
Good stuff. I coached a team yesterday that played 2 baseball games. And I told them one thing at the beginning when we first went out to prepare for the first game. I said, I'm gonna tell you this at the end, and I'm gonna tell you now. Do not ride the wave.
Because the wave will get you up really high, and the wave could also take you down really low and crash you. That's what waves do.
Yeah, exactly.
Am I okay? Am I right on the metaphor there? Is that the idea?
Well, yeah, I think you can go a different way. You can go a couple different ways with it. One, the wave doesn't last, right?
Ah, yeah.
The wave doesn't last. And I read this
for another one.
Yeah, exactly. And I read this, that elite athletes know that result is not indicative of effort. So, you can go out and play the best that you can play, and still you may not get the result that you want. You can go out and give maximum effort and have statistically one of the worst games of your life, right? Winning and losing, they have one thing in common, and they're temporary.
Yes.
Both are temporary. I think it's really easy to get caught up in both of those things, but a lot of times we find ourselves getting caught up in our success. And one of the biggest mistakes I think we make as people is when we have a little bit of success, we feel like, some people out there has probably heard the expression of, you feel like you've arrived, maybe the work's done. You don't have to do anything else, right?
Mm-hmm. And
I think that's what separates. We've talked about the concept of being a cleaner, right? And this internal drive that sets these people apart from everybody else, that makes them special and makes them just different. And people wonder what drives them. How are they so different than everybody else? I think one of the major differences is that when people like that, highly successful people that we look at as elite individuals in the things that they do, when they have success, their first thought is, where can I find more success? Where's the next road going to take me? Where's the next pathway? Where's the next journey? And it's easy to rest on what you've done yesterday, or to be satisfied on what you've accomplished.
That's a great point. So our topic of conversation today is how to handle success, And it's something that we don't think about as much as I think, or maybe it's something we don't talk about as much as we talk about failure.
Yeah.
Because everyone wants to know how to handle failure, because you assume that when you fail, you've got some consolation to do. You've got to console someone. You've got to console yourself. You have to pick yourself up. You got to, we know that there's a process for handling failure. And you asked me earlier today, have we ever talked about how to handle success? Handling success and handling it properly. And I don't know that we have. We may have mentioned it, here and there throughout our 73 episodes.
Right.
We may have said something about it, but in terms of devoting an entire conversation to, look, some people have an easier time, believe it or not, handling failure than handling success. And that seems odd. Some people have an easier time handling difficult times in life than they have handling prosperous times in life.
Absolutely.
You talk about financially. If sometimes it's easier to not have much money at all.
Yep.
Because when you get a lot, then all the more money, more problems, right? That's I think someone rapped that once. But no, it is. It's something that needs to be discussed, because you talked about your team and young people, and they've got so much more to do. They've got so much more ahead of them, so much more to accomplish, that you can't just rest, as you said, on the delight of this one successful adventure. Which, by the way, we should say, the team that you coached 2 games in yesterday won a championship. So congratulations there, Coach Martin.
Thanks, Coach.
Yeah,
I appreciate it. My assistant for the day didn't get in the picture, though.
Jeremiah.
Yeah, well, he was there for a couple innings, wasn't he?
He had a role. He played his role.
I think he got tired of you telling him what to do, so he's like, I'm done. I'm done with this.
I normally just hang out in the dugout here and eat chips, do whatever I want to do. This guy's making me throw balls to the right outfielder and receive them back, collect them back, and all this. I got rules. I wasn't supposed to have rules in here.
Yeah, but no, I had a really good group. Really, they're talented, and they're good kids, young adults, I should say, and it was a pleasure and a privilege to be able to be around them for the fall. But when I was thinking about how I was going to go into yesterday, because I'm that guy that kind of feels like, as a coach, I want to try to guide him in a direction that that keeps them on the straight and narrow. And throughout the season, we've had a couple different themes, and I wanted to kind of summarize those themes. But in my mind, I thought, well, this is the game of baseball, and anything can happen in baseball. So what do you say if you win? What do you say if you lose? And it kind of just came to me that the best thing that you can do is have an approach that is not impacted by that result. Mm-hmm. And if you have a process that you believe in, a process that works, and part of a process is improving the process, right? So you're never satisfied with the process either. You're never satisfied with the approach, but you're always looking for ways to get better at everything you do. But if you have that, and you're confident in that, then you don't have to worry so much about what the result is. Mm. And that's kind of the message that I brought to him. Colt McCoy told a story one time going into his first game as an NFL quarterback. You remember Colt McCoy?
Oh, yeah.
University of Texas,
yep.
and the Browns drafted him in the 3rd round, I think. And his first start was against the Pittsburgh Steelers. And he got up in front of his teammates the night before the game, and he said something to them. He said, "Guys, don't worry about it. The hay's in the barn." Have you ever heard that? You ever heard of that phrase?
I don't know that I have actually.
The hay is in the barn. I guess it's what farmers say when winter's almost here, and they've already got the hay all worked out of the field, right? They've already
Okay.
bundled it up and they've got it stored in the barn for the winter. And they say the hay's in the barn. Now it's time to have some fun. The work's over. Now it's time to have some
Yeah, I
fun. And I
see.
think that focus is on the fact that what's most important about a competition or a challenge or anything of that nature is how well you've prepared for it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where if you want to keep track of how well you've done, you keep track of that process. But primarily, you don't want to let discouragement or dissatisfaction on winning or losing during the course of a game be what drives you. You don't want that result to discourage you or satisfy you. You have to find that in something else. And I think when you're talking about handling success, it's similar to the way that you handle failure,
Sure.
but it's a different feeling, and sometimes it's a more challenging feeling to overcome to stay focused.
Yeah, I think that's the key, staying focused, because there's a celebratory period inside all of us that we want to have when success comes, regardless of what we're talking about, whether it's sports or personal success in something or a project that you just completed that you feel really good about. Everyone has that, hey, let's pop the champagne moment, let's celebrate this. But then what happens? What do you do now? What do you do now? Yeah, and I think that in the same way that we, when you say that success is handling success is very similar to handling failure, I think one of those aspects, one of the ways that it's very similar is, when we fail, we've talked about at length that failure is equivalent to learning if you recognize it as such and you know how to use failure to learn. And
Right.
I think that is an aspect of success that needs to be discussed, and that is when you are successful, it's probably a good idea to not forget about yesterday, to remember the failures, because
Yes.
it's actually the failures and the way that you overcame those failures that led you to your success. And I think that the reason why that's important right now, when people might be like, well, why would I want to remember failures when I'm successful? It's like, hey, I accomplished that. I want to forget those things. The problem is if you forget about them, then you're probably going to be bound to commit them again, to commit those
Yes.
same failures, to have those same pitfalls and same slip ups or whatever it is that you've done. And so I don't think that you need to dwell on them, but I think it's wise to remember them, both to humble us, right, but also to excite us, because look what it excites you even more to realize I've overcome these things. I've overcome these hurdles. I have overcome these obstacles we talked about a few weeks ago. Sometimes the path to success is going right through that obstacle or right over that obstacle, not turning around and going backwards, but just continuing on. And so you look back and you see, wow, look at those failures that I was able to overcome to get to where I am today. And I think that's a really cool aspect of that celebration, that celebration period of success. And it sort of helps you to savor success even more and to feel even more grateful for where you're at.
Yeah, absolutely. I've got a list of kind of some direct things that you should do or not do, and definitely remember failures is on that list. And I would, since we're talking about it, I would kind of, and it's very similar, and I would say you probably captured the essence of it when you were talking there, but know that you've experienced failures and you've overcome it. And also don't forget the pathways that led you to the success. So,
Right.
that pathway undoubtedly is going to have challenge, and it's going to have struggle, and it's going to have failure. And to remember, a lot of times when we do fail, there's a finality to it, and that we kind of don't know what to do, right?
Right.
We don't know what to do, and going back, we remember the things that if we do remember the things that we did to have previous success, then that will help us, overcome certain struggles that we have in life. And the same could be said once we reach a certain level that we're trying to reach, or once we've accomplished a goal, we have that feeling of not really knowing what to do. Well, think back. What process did you follow to have that success? How did you determine, what that goal was that you wanted to obtain, that now you're satisfied about, obtaining it? So you can look back into the past and kind of figure out where you need to go next and what you need to do. And a lot of times it's just starting over, right? It's repeating what you did along that journey to get where you wanted to be. And, I feel like we've been mentioning make your bed quite a bit lately. I'm sure the moms out there that listen are probably happy about that, at least if they relay.
If they're passing it on to their kids, yeah.
Yeah, right. But that's kind of the same concept, that you fall back on the stuff that has brought you to where you want to be.
Yeah, and in that metaphor, you got to make your bed every day.
Yeah,
because you mess it up again at night. So it's a repetitive. It's a constant process. It reciprocates. You've got to keep moving. You got to keep get back to work. You just got to get back to work.
Right.
Basically.
Right. I've got a good one here. I think this would be challenging to some people, especially in the day and age of social media.
Let's hear it.
Normally, when things happen, the first thing you see, especially with it, and I don't know if any of my players or parents have done this yet.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say it. You see if a team wins a championship or something like that, it's not long after that there's a Facebook post or an Instagram post that says, champions, league champions or whatnot. And I think there's a lot of value in the approach of, when you do have success, don't tell everyone. Don't tell everyone. You do that for a lot of reasons. I think if you do tell everyone, you're setting expectations. Or at least,
good point.
At least in your mind you are, because here's the thing. I would say 85% of the people that see that post or see, that hear what you did, they're not going to remember it very long. They don't really care that much. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
but in your mind, the next time that you go to do something related to that success that you've had, you've kind of created a little bit of pressure on yourself to rise to that same level again. And if you don't this time, you might wonder what people out there are thinking.
Man, that's a good point. So social media puts so much pressure on us anyway. And sometimes I don't think we understand how it's happening. We don't comprehend the behind the scenes things that are going on in our hearts, in our minds, in our emotions, when we're just very simply and innocently using social media. Because why do we post all of our successes on social media? Because everyone else does. We see everybody else's, and we're like, well, I'm proud of my kids too, and I want to. And some people probably listen to us right now and going, "What are you saying? We can't be proud of our kids? Of course not. We're extremely proud of our kids, and I've done the same thing. I've posted successes on my kids on social media and things like that, and it's hard not to do. But the reality is, do I have to do it? To feel the same way, to be able to celebrate the success? Does it change anything about the success if I don't post it, right? Just like, did I actually vote if I didn't post a picture of myself voting after I voted on social media, things like that?
No.
It's like, it's really wild, the pressure that gets put on us because of social media. And the more social media you have, it's like, well, I posted this on Twitter, so I better go over here and post it on Instagram too. Well, I haven't put it on Facebook yet, so I better put it on Facebook too. And then before you know it, we spent an hour, crafting these beautiful pictures of ourselves.
Yeah, absolutely. I that's internal too, the pressure that we put on ourselves.
Yeah,
'Cause
that's exactly right.
I had the this unique experience of recognizing this for the first time in my life. Honestly, we and we'll probably talk about this more at some time. But I was in a group of kids that was filling out forms, and on that form that they were filling out, there was a spot that said social media. And they asked, what does this mean? What's social media mean? I told them, well, it's your Facebook page or your Instagram page or, whatever you post your stuff on. And I could see some hesitation in these kids because they weren't for sure. They weren't for sure that they wanted to hand that information out. And I wonder if it's because in their mind they're thinking, I don't really want everybody or anyone to know what I've been posting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Except a certain group of people.
Thus, the reason why that line was on the form. That's my form you're talking about.
Yeah, that's your form, Coach. That's your form.
At a tryout. Yeah, it was a tryout for a baseball team. And the kids were, one of the questions on there was put your handle name on your various social medias that you use. And yeah, you're right. I think there was some hesitation there.
Yeah,
and because I even took a second to say this is important. And you should have seen, it was funny because there was a mom and a dad, two different families, a mother of one child and a father of another one standing behind the bleachers where they were filling them out. And as I was saying, you don't realize how important this is to your success or failure, the way you handle social media. And they could not have been nodding up and down their head, up and down any harder. I thought their head were going to pop off their shoulders with the way mom and dad was back there nodding and saying, amen, yes, amen. Like they didn't want their kids to know that they were excited about this idea that we were actually going to lead, help them with this, help them understand this. But it's an incredible oversight sometimes, I think.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. So you got to be careful there with who you.
Sometimes the best thing you can do is just shut up about it.
Yeah, really.
When you've had some success, just enjoy it.
I think that's where the phrase "act like you've been there before" comes from.
It is very much so.
At times too, I feel like that's overused, and it's used to kind of take the fun out of the game, out of youth sports as well.
You're right, and that's not what we're talking about right here. We're not against bat flips necessarily, right? We're not against enjoying your home run after you hit it. We're not against pumping your fist after you strike someone out.
No, not at all. Right. We saw that yesterday too, didn't we? Mm-hmm. I was pretty fired up.
Yep.
So yeah, and I think getting back to that pressure thing, I kind of experienced this, and from a parent perspective, I think when we look at success of our kids, it's easy to fall into another trap that I guess I've coined or named, entitled the raise the bar syndrome, because this happened to me with my kid, with my oldest son. It not so much with my youngest, because it was kind of my first time to go around, but basically, I think a lot of times parents go in and their expectations aren't very high when kids start a sport. But when they start playing well and they have a little bit of success, that bar goes up a little bit. So, we talk a lot about not, as parents, not putting, so much pressure on our kids to do well, but, more so to do the things that are important, as far as being a teammate and playing hard and focusing on preparation and nutrition and sleep and things like that. These things that, a lot of times aren't thought about. But we have a tendency as parents that when our kids have a little bit of success, that once they aren't able to hit that bar the next time they go out, or maybe they go into a rut, or they're struggling a little bit and they're not performing at the level that you expect them to because of past performances, it's easier for us to ask them things like, what the heck's wrong with you?
Yeah.
Why are you not playing well? What, you don't look like you care, things like that. And it's very easy to fall into that trap. And I think, for what we've done here over the past 2 years, trying to get the message out. It's important when we're talking about success, not just from an athlete's perspective, but from a parent's perspective too. We got to know how to handle our kids' success. And that goes both ways with the social media thing. If we're posting it on there, that's fine, and like you said, I'm not telling anyone not to show that they care about their kid and they're proud of their kid. I'm not going to say that. We should do that. We should feel good about it. But at the same time, we got to be careful about maybe how much we do it and our intent when we do it and what it leaves behind. So don't fall in love necessarily with those success posts, but more so continue to worry about the things that really are important, from an athletics perspective, from a people perspective, when your kids are playing sports, how they approach the game. How much do they love the game? Enjoy the love that they have for the game and their work ethic. Because in the world of sports, results and statistics are often misleading, especially at a young age. So. Especially at a young age.
Yes, very much so. Not just misleading, but misguided.
Yeah, irrelevant at times.
Irrelevant.
Right?
Yeah, you see people being a lot more excited and celebratory about what I would almost say is meaningless results than they are excited about the process. And on the flip side of that, I know we talk about this one a lot more frustrated about the result than they are frustrated about the process that led them to that result.
Absolutely.
I watched a handful of teams play yesterday as well. And sometimes you see, for example, coaches or parents get upset with a result in a game, for example, a result, like get upset about the way the kids played or why did this happen? And we're looking at the end, the end product, the end result. And from an outside perspective looking in, someone who's not been around your team every single day, and I'm watching, my thought is, well, when you're permitted to behave in a certain way that I see you behave for six innings, then those are the seeds that harvest that eventually harvest those results. The results that the seeds that we're planting every single day, and that's in practice, that's in these that's in their just daily lives and I think sometimes we desire a different product than what we've actually planted. We desire a different fruit than what we've planted, for example.
Good point.
We've tossed some, to some I don't know. I'm not a horticulturalist. I don't know what this. I mean, we've tossed some. You're expecting an apple tree, but you tossed out orange seeds out there. And it's like, what, you're upset because it didn't end up, you didn't end up with what you thought you were going to get. Well, let's go back. Let's look back at the process and see why you ended up where you are. And we got on a little bit of a tangent away from the success, but it's all about recognizing that it's not just about the end result, whether that end result is success or whether it's failure. There's a reason why it is what it is, and sometimes it lines up and sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes, like you said, you can give the greatest effort in the world and just not have the results that you were hoping for. Sometimes, but more likely than not, your effort is going to achieve you what you're desiring, especially if you're persistent and you continue
in your preparation, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Because if you don't prepare, the effort that you give during the challenge, during the game, during the competition means a lot less.
Absolutely.
if you're not prepared, you can give everything you've got, and you're still going to be behind. Now, not always, because that's the way results work. That's why that's why we're talking the way we're talking, because sometimes the ball bounces a different way. And, sometimes the better player fails, or the better team loses. But it's all about that process. It's all about the journey that you're taking to get there.
Right.
You know what? One thing that I think, this is another thing that's on my list, that's important for young athletes, and even for young coaches, for all coaches really, is to be conscious about the people that you surround yourself with, and keep people around you that make you better. Now, different people are motivated in different ways, so I wouldn't necessarily be able to define that for everybody. But for me, when I think of the circle of people, that I would say that I trust when it comes to, baseball, for example, I have a small circle that, that I trust, and that I respect, and that I know that I can say things to that might be, that might paint me in a negative light, and that I can get honest feedback from, and that those are that thing is I'm describing my circle there. And one of the things I think we could do to handle success is, as opposed to share it with everybody, just share it with that circle of people that you trust and care about the most, and that can give you honest feedback on that. Because there you go. Now we're right back to talking about the process again. It's like, hey, coach, we just had a good day yesterday. Here's what happened. What do you think? And things like that can help you grow from a situation where we talked about, we're satisfied. We accomplished our goal. We're done. Nope. There's still an opportunity to learn there.
Yeah. I like how you said share it, because I think that's another important aspect of success, because I think it's Tom Peters? I just saw this recently on Twitter. I might be getting it mixed up with somebody else. Somebody once said, leaders don't create followers, they create more leaders. That's kind of a leadership mantra, that I think Focus 3 talks about this too. Tim and Brian Kite have talked about this, and Urban Meyer probably as well, that the idea as a leader isn't to create followers, but to create leaders. And so part of our responsibility when we are successful is to share that success. And here is the fascinating thing about sharing success with other people. And what I mean by that is share your experience that helped you achieve your success, share it with other people to help them grow and achieve greatness in themselves. And the reason I'm saying this is because what you find is that you will grow to be even more successful. You will grow in areas of your life that you did not realize that you were going to grow, areas of your sport, areas of your game. You will understand more. You will open doors for yourself that you never realized would open if you just kept everything to yourself. And I think I'm going to say this. I'm a prime example of this. This is one of the reasons I love doing this podcast.
Yeah.
Because I love the very thought of saying something, researching something and talking about something that might help somebody else to be the best that they can be. And what happens is when I know that that's like, when I have an idea that that's happening, and especially when someone tells you, gives you feedback and says, "Hey, thanks for talking about that because it helped me do this, and this is how I changed my life in this way, or this is what I'm doing now because I heard you guys talk about this." I'd say that's like a jolt, man. That's who needs 5-hour energy when you got people telling you that kind of stuff. I mean, that's a bolt of lightning just inside. It's like, man, yeah, that just energizes you. It makes you want more. It makes you want to find out, okay, how can I help other people be more successful? And I think the whole idea there is we're built as human beings. We're built to give, not receive.
Yeah.
And I say that because the more you give, the more you receive. And I mean that sincerely. We can't. I heard somebody one time talk about it like this. They said, I'll give you another cliche adage. I said the one about leadership and followers. Here's another one. Impression without expression leads to depression. Have you ever heard that?
I'm not for sure.
So some people, all they want to do is just be impressed all the time. They're basically self-serving. They're just wanting to be impressed. They never express. They never want to express and share it like we're talking about. Share it and give it away. And I think one example of this for us one real life, experiment that you could try to illustrate this principle is, what if all you ever did was inhale and never exhaled? Like, have you ever just tried to take 5 inhale breaths without exhaling at all? Just like...
I think I have tried that, actually.
Just keep going.
But it don't work.
Yeah. The reality is we need both. You're going to die. If all you ever did in your life, if all you ever did was inhale, you would die. You need to exhale. You need both. You got to let it out as much as you take it in, I mean, what if all you ever did was eat food? I don't want to be too gross here. But
we better stick with the breathing.
Yeah, there you go. The breathing. It's the same principle, though. If you think about it, right? If all you ever did was eat, and you never excreted food, you die a horrible death of constipation. And here's the thing. A lot of people in our world are dying of constipation intellectually, spiritually, emotionally, because all we do is try to receive, and we're not built that way. We're built to share it. And so when you experience a little bit of success, you will find incredible energy, and just there will be an overwhelming sense of pride, more so when you give it away, when you share it with someone else.
Yeah.
Share your recipes.
Yeah, that's good stuff. A good segue from that. How do you handle success? Find where the credit is due. Off the top, you're thinking, well, it's your success. But if you think about it, and I would, this is true. And I don't know that I've had a success in my life that I couldn't look and say, well, this is due in part because of someone else or a collection of people, whether it be, teammates. Teammates is obviously a good one. Athlete, you're better athletes, when they're talking after games. What do they always say? They always talk about their team and about team goals and things like that. Your coaches, your parents, your friends, your family, people, that circle, the circle that we're talking about sharing things with, or it's good to recognize that the success that you have can be attributed to other places, to other sources. And it's good to let those people know, and let them know you appreciate them, and you're giving them that respect for being people in your life that made an impact on you. And I know I think about that almost daily, to be honest with you. I feel like I'm a product of a very privileged life and a blessed life. and I'm fortunate, and I'm very grateful for the people that I've come in contact with throughout my life, and that I've had the opportunity to learn from and grow from and be guided by. So yeah, you made the point of creating leaders. That was Tom Peters, by the way, that said that.
Yeah, I thought so. I see a lot of his tweets. For some reason, his tweets pop into my feed a lot.
Yeah, but I definitely, for me, I definitely had a lot of leaders in my life that kind of guided me in a way that, I'm not that I'm the most successful person in the world by any means, but when I do feel success and when I do feel that moment of satisfaction and an accomplishment, I'm often able to attribute that to a number of people very, very quickly.
Sure. Well, I think it's an issue of integrity as well. I mean, when you're successful, when you see someone who's successful, who has integrity, what do you always see? They're extremely generous with praise, with praising others. They hand it out, just like you said. The athlete that is, when they're talking about their success, a lot of times they'll talk about, I wouldn't have been successful if it hadn't been for my offensive line, or
right.
Everybody else. And sometimes it's that may be just lip service, but I think a lot of times it's not. I mean, when the issue is integrity. I mean, you will always see the first thought that comes to someone's mind who has integrity in success is they immediately praise others.
Yeah,
they praise others.
Absolutely, and there's the element of that praise going to motivate others as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, but yeah, I think most people that say it with
very sincerely.
They're genuine when they say it, because when you hear that people giving credit to offensive line is usually the quarterback or the running back, and very few examples of those two players play well without good offensive line play. So
yes,
it's pretty important, and they recognize it.
No doubt.
I've got another big one that I know you're going to absolutely love.
This is a point for how to handle success.
How to handle success.
Okay.
Do not compare your success to that of others.
Absolutely. You're correct that I love that.
Yeah. I knew you'd like that one.
It doesn't benefit you at all. It doesn't benefit anyone else. You're not competing against everyone else in life. You're competing with yourself to be the best that you are capable of being. And that is true in every aspect of life. It's true in your athletic endeavors. It's true in your coaching endeavors. It's true in your business endeavors, your family endeavors. And before we got on the podcast tonight, you showed me a picture of your 65-inch TV. I got a 55-inch TV, and I thought mine was big. And if I'm like, well, wait a minute, no, I need a 65-inch TV. We're constantly comparing ourselves to other people, right? And you didn't do that to compare. I know you did that, but it's one of those things. What happens when you see something that somebody else has that you don't have? When you get it, your motivation for getting it sometimes is because the other person has it. You're comparing yourself with somebody else. It's just a really, it's a dark hole that you don't want to fall into in your life. Just live your life. You be you, man. You be you. Let other people be them.
I'm self-conscious about that now. I can tell you this.
You got a great deal on that thing.
We got a great deal on it. And we lived with I think like a 28-inch TV.
You had the old furniture piece, the old Zenith that sit on the floor, the wooden TV, right? You had to go up and bang it on the top to get it.
We're always the last to get anything like that. So
yeah, you guys need to understand. They're not frivolous people. They have to get up off their couch and turn the knob to turn their channels. That's how long Pat and Chastity have had their TV. So they deserve this TV.
Yeah. Well, maybe not in the last few years, but that was true for a while. We were late to get cell phones. Like, it took us a while to get cell phones and stuff like that. I work in IT, and our home computers aren't that great. So I don't want to.
Don't compare yourself to Pat, then, people. No comparing yourself to Pat.
Yeah.
Or do if you want to feel good about yourself in your own IT. If you want to feel good about the phone you have, then compare it to Pat's. Then
or maybe you have like a 100-inch TV or something, or one of those TVs that come up out of your yard that are like 18 feet wide or whatever they are. I think they're like $1 million. I saw that on in some magazine sometime. My boss showed it to me one day, that a big TV like that. But
that's wild.
I think, we've covered the list, but I think one thing that I want to get out here is that one way to handle success is to truly identify what success is and understand, you can be successful in a lot of things. I mean, you can flip a quarter up in the air and call heads or tails and get it right and be, that's success, right? But how relevant is it? What difference does it make? And, when it comes to sports, your approach is very important. We mentioned work ethic. Mm-hmm. I think the way that you respond to adversity, the way that you respond to, difficult situations that you find yourself in, you can lose a game and you can have a horrible game, but you can still consider that a success because you handled it the way that you in your mind prepared to handle it, or were able to handle it. Ownership. That's something that my fall baseball team talked about, ownership and discipline. How disciplined are you throughout the period of a game? If you get down, how do you feel? If you're up a lot, how do you feel? How do those things change? Going from one pitch to the next pitch, or one shot in basketball to another, one play to another play. And I think, when you break it down like that, and you really try to evaluate what kind of success is really important, maybe it's not really about handling it, but that difference in focus allows you the way that you handle success to be more valuable to you. I guess I would think that.
That's a great point.
So it's easy to get caught up in it, right?
It is. Yeah. Don't let success get to your head. Don't let failure get to your heart. Don't let success get to your head.
Yeah, for sure. I hope whoever was successful yesterday, let's say yesterday evening they were successful. I hope anyone that experienced that success woke up today as hungry for that same success as they were yesterday morning. Mm-hmm. I think that's a good goal. That's a good perspective to take away from this episode of the Coaching Life Podcast, is that result can't dictate how satisfied you are and where you're at in life. You need something more.
Yeah, I like the metaphor of the wave. Going back to think about that. If success is like riding a wave, then that surfer that rides the wave is never satisfied with that one that he just rode. He wants to get back out there and find another one. He wants to get back out and find another one. He wants to get back out and find another one. And so, don't just ride the wave and then be done, because it's very temporary. Get back out there. I mean, what makes for some reason I always see surfers as just happy-go-lucky people. They kind of have that. They kind of have that look to them, don't they? Like, hey, man, I mean, just like there's some kind of adrenaline rush to experiencing a new wave constantly, and
man, that is a great point. They're always looking for the big wave, aren't they?
Absolutely.
And
they still enjoy the small one when they catch it.
Yeah,
they still enjoy it. They enjoy every single one of them, but they know there's a better one out there somewhere. They know there's a better one. I'm going to go get it.
As soon as they hit that shore,
right back out.
They're back out there. They're looking for the other wave. That is a great metaphor. Sir. That's awesome. That's a good put. So I guess do not ride the wave. I guess I should change that to do not ride just one wave.
There you go. There you go. Right. That's a
do
phrase.
Not ride just one wave.
You're coining that phrase. So there you go. So whatever wave you have ridden here recently, it's probably been a thrill. It's probably been just an incredible joy. But if you're sitting on the shore and you've been sitting there for a little while, get your butt up and get back out there. Find the next one. What's your next success? Go find it.
That's awesome. Good word, man.